Tess is limping, favoring one leg in a huge way. Not only that, she's dragging the other leg, like stomp, drag, stomp, drag. We're concerned. And the reason we're concerned is that Tess's hips have been very messed up during her life. She has hip dysplasia. Not to get all anatomical on you here, but you know how your leg bones go into your hip sockets? Well, hers didn't. Literally, those bones were outside of her hips. Not in the right place if you need to do things like stand up or walk, which she didn't really do for a long ass time. She didn't walk until she was 5. She had hip surgeries to get those bones back in the right place. She went through months of having a spica cast, which encases your entire body from your armpits all the way down to your ankles. And if you realize that Tess started her life in diapers and is still in diapers, then you know that she was not potty trained when in those casts, which is a special kind of hell, dealing with diapering through a spica cast. In the end, when her hips were still messed up and nothing else had worked, they used screws and like bolted shit together in there in order to make it right. If you think I'm kidding about the screws, I'm not. Actual screws. After Tess had the surgery to take them out, the surgeon wanted to make sure we had the screws. So they gave us this canister with the screws inside. For real. I'd have been horrified, but the surgeon was right. I did want the screws. I kept them for a long time. I'd look at them from time to time and rattle the canister every so often. And once Tess was finally walking, I was considering building something awesome and using the screws as sort of an FU to the cosmos. But cooler heads prevailed, namely my wife. So all of that is why we aren't thrilled to see her limping or dragging one leg. Her physical therapist at school won't work with her when she's like that. We need answers. And there's yet another reason for concern. Tess is getting nightly injections of growth hormone. She fell off the growth curve in a huge way a couple years back, and we're trying to get her back on track. Thing is, her disease is closely related to this other rare syndrome called Prader-Willi. And Prader-Willi kids who get growth hormone injections are known to sometimes develop this thing called SCFE, S-C-F-E, which stands for slipped capital femoral epiphysis. Basically, your growth plate fractures, and the head of your femur, or your leg bone, slips into the wrong place, causes pain, jacks up everything. What's a symptom of SCFE? Limping. So we need to bring her to Boston to see her orthopedist. My wife calls to get the first appointment we can. They're super accommodating, they agree to squeeze us into the schedule, which is great, except they can only give us a day when my wife's working. I pull Dana out of school slightly early, around lunchtime, and the two of us take Tess on this Boston trip. The sun is shining, it's a beautiful day for a drive. We laugh, we keep her entertained, we listen to Childish Gambino and Kodak Black all the way down to I-95. I feel myself tighten up as we enter Boston city limits, and even more so as we enter the neighborhood right around Boston Children's Hospital. I do my best, though, to shake it off, to stay positive, and keep this fun for Dana. But in time, there in the waiting room, I get fatigued. Soon, Tess becomes restless. Dana can't wait to get out of there. He's still being helpful, but it's been over an hour of waiting, and there's only so much to do in that room. I feel my face tightening again. I notice that I'm snapping at them both. I'm tired. And then I look all the way across the waiting room, and I see a guy over there, a dad like me. He's got his kid with him. The kid's around Dana's age, maybe 11 or 12. The other dad is a few years older than I am, and he's smiling. A big smile with teeth and everything, just grinning his ass off over there. I lock onto his face, the smile continues. I move my head slightly to the right to see if I can figure out what he's looking at. What the hell's making him smile? I realize that he's looking right at me. He's looking across the waiting room and just smiling. I don't smile back right away, but he keeps smiling. The smile becomes a statement. It's a clear and intentional act. The guy is saying, I am you, and you are me. This place is hard, but it could be harder. It is harder for other families. We're lucky, you and I. The smile says, we're gonna get through this. You're gonna get called eventually, and so am I, and we're gonna get seen, and we're gonna take care of these kids. The language of this smile is one that I speak fluently. I've just forgotten for a few minutes. I'm grateful for the reminder. I have no choice but to smile back at the guy. And there we are, two grown men smiling across this room. I feel like I should go over to him to tell him thanks, but neither of us get up. We both have plenty to deal with. Tess eventually gets called. We've brought our own x-rays, which we got a couple months back here in Maine. Our orthopedist here checks them out. The news is good, beyond good. It's excellent. Everything is tip-top. No sign of the hips being in the wrong place, no evidence of skiffy. All is well. And as for the limp, he thinks it might be a meniscus thing. Not a tear, but just a tweak that'll resolve itself. When we emerge back into the waiting room, the smiling man and his son are already gone. So dude, whoever you are, I don't even know your name and I'll probably never see you again, but here's to you, smiling dad out there. Godspeed. Meanwhile, I have a theory about the limping. I don't think it's her meniscus at all. I don't think it's pain or anything like that. I think it's communication. Check this out. Tess loves fall. Favorite season, probably. And her favorite thing to do in the fall is walk through piles of leaves. She's a big fan of those colors, the reds, the oranges, the yellows. She adores seeing the leaves themselves, but she likes the whole experience of wading through, the sound the leaves make, the wish, wish, wish of her shoes going through the leaves. And so my theory, whenever she's limping or dragging that foot, she's trying to tell us, take me outside, she's saying. Let's go walk in the leaves.